here we are, episode 2 of the slowdown, and thought I'd pull up this lo-fi music. Keep chasing what lights you up is the, I guess, can be our mantra for today. Yeah, keep chasing the joy and the whatever stirs up your heart a little bit to do good things, do great things, and all of that. It's kind of cool. I would be interested to hear what folks listen to on YouTube when it comes to lo-fi, steady music. As you can see on the right side over here, I have a bunch. Chill House for positive morning vibe, same channel, peaceful fall lo-fi beats, workday flow in New York, neo soul lo-fi, cozy fall, lots of fall driven, content here. Also, I really love just like how obscure some of these things are. Like this channel is just called Hours, and then this other one's called Note. Roti, Lo-Fi Black Girls, or Owl Lo-Fi Music. So yeah, it's very interesting to see just how YouTube has changed. Has nothing to do with what we're talking today, but today and this week I've been thinking a lot about writing. Recently put up a post which I'll link to, and obviously, like, if you've been around, these videos are tied to my newsletter. So if you go to irmamesa.substack.com, you can subscribe to my writing, and all of it is just my thoughts on the interesting side of living in this world where corporate is something that is the default to how we work. Not only that, but the quickness of how we do things in life, how fast we move. And for me, I am, on this journey to live slower, live more mindfully. And that doesn't mean I don't move fast. I do. There are times of urgency. But it does allow me to just step back a little bit and also evaluate how my life is looking like. And like, I haven't worked full time in a number of years, and I'm very grateful for that. And at the same time, like, there's this pressure that comes with not working full time, which I think is really interesting. But that's a video for another day, or maybe a talk for another day. But if you're here, I hope you're here because you're just looking for community. You're looking for somebody to resonate with. You're looking for a voice to be heard, support, etc. And this week, again, thinking about writing, I was really stuck this week with what I wanted to write. I felt a lot of somewhat pressure on myself that I've put on myself. And then somewhat like feeling like if I didn't do it now, it would never get done. Or I have all these ideas, but I didn't know what to write about. It was a very interesting time. So instead of kind of forcing my way through that box of like unknowingness, I was just like, what if I just write about the unknowingness, right? So I felt blocked. But as I started thinking about it, I remembered, again, writing is what I could do. And that sometimes writing is very unplanned and it's unstructured. I can show you, actually, if I pop over to Obsidian, and I also have Notion, which I don't really use much anymore outside of things with my partner. But, I have letters here that I've written, things I've been like, all right, I do want to talk about this, or like, there's some in here about tech burnout, for example. But honestly, I don't know if I'm ever going to write about those things. And it's not to say that like planning is bad, or like you can't draft a post. Like, I think all of those things are useful. I also think that limiting myself to just doing it that way is also a little harmful to my creativity and also like my own confidence. So instead of kind of leaning into planning, outlining, all that, I just went into my Substack. I have a template that I used, or that I put together with 3 sections that I like to stick to. And one of those sections is the "What am I thinking about" section. And so in general, like the theme right now in October really feels like creating something, right? That brings you joy, that brings me joy. And part of that is throwing things at the wall. It's throwing things. And I was listening to a podcast yesterday, which I'll link in the description, but she kind of just said, like, throw things at the wall. And, like, if the wall, if you mess it up with whatever you throw at it, whether it's paint or a pencil or whatever, you can always paint over it. You can always, like, you know, refinish it, right? There's always another chance, basically, to do things a different way or the same way if you want to try again. But I feel like a lot of when I wrote, sometimes writing is unplanned and structured. That's also how life is. And then, of course, as I'm thinking about writing and then life, I then thought about career, my work, right? My relationships, all of it is unplanned, all of it is unstructured. All the times I've had a plan, sometimes it's worked out to plan with a lot of effort on my side to keep it kind of going in that direction. But a lot of times it hasn't. A lot of times it has been, step number one went as planned. Step number two, completely left field sort of environment where I was like, I don't know where that came from, but like I like it. Let's keep doing it. And so I think it's interesting that, like, within all the unplanned and the unstructured, there's also the messiness of all of that, right? It's the messiness of not knowing, of they call it the messy middle, which is like a lot of the times when you look at somebody's career as an example, you'll only look at the end, the beginning and the end, usually, right? Went to college, got drafted, 30 years later retired, and is now doing X, Y, and Z things. But you don't see the middle part, and that's the messy middle. The messy middle is the area of life that a lot of people don't see, unless you have, like, a really close friend, a really close partner, maybe a co-founder, a family member that can, like, see you day to day. But nobody's in your room with you at night or in the morning when you're trying to, like, figure out, what do I work on? What do I write? Am I supposed to be doing this? Like, all these different doubts that are coming up, and not seeing you actually do it, right? Because you do it. At the end of the day, you do it. I do it, right? And so, in the theme of this, and this month of, like, creating, the theme of this letter, which is around throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. Not in I know sometimes that's used as, like, in a negative way a little bit, like you're just like grasping at straws. But I don't think it needs to necessarily look that way all the time. I think we would kind of also use it as throw things at the wall. Maybe things will stick, maybe things won't. Maybe that wall can look like something different as well. Maybe it doesn't have to be a wall. Maybe you're not throwing, maybe you are pasting things. Maybe you're painting things on the wall. Again, this is kind of just to activate my own creativity, my own brain. But when I look at my career specifically, like, I don't think I've thrown things at the wall. It was very much like, I just want to learn. I want to be better. I want to be really great at what I do when it comes to working in the tech industry. And my plan, I didn't have one. It was just to learn. And I sometimes need to remember the fact that I did do that, where my career was something that I just said, hey, like, one step at a time. It was, go to school, realize I didn't want to do what I got my major for, went the other route. That then opened up doors that I didn't even think there were, right? And then that opened more doors that, again, did not plan for, did not really ask for. But I was presented with these options, right? Because I came into it with this, like, open mindset of learning. And so when I think about writing, I also think about how, like, it can be unstructured. It doesn't have to make sense all the time. Also, like, just because it doesn't make sense to me doesn't actually mean it may not make sense to somebody else. Most of the time I probably won't, but who knows. But that's regarding writing. I mean, in terms of career, though, like, I've been thinking a lot about my own trajectory, and a lot of the time, right now specifically, as I kind of think about like, what does this next kind of chapter look like in my life? What does October look like in my life? And kind of like, I guess, reaffirming within myself that like I have done unplanned and unstructured things before, and I can do that. I can get through that. I will get through that. Um, and I love to challenge people to take a look at their paths, right? Like, was your path extremely planned out? Was it not? Even if it was extremely planned out, what if you actually want to do something completely different? What if you're completely over working in corporate? You're completely over, being a manager. You're completely over being an individual contributor. You want to do something different. Um, and so I think that there's no wrong answer to how you've done your life thus far. Secondly, like, I think if you're feeling like you could be doing something different, like there's a calling to do something more, right? Like there is a pull to maybe keep your day job, but do something at night or early in the morning that can feed your soul, that can feed your creativity. Um, the way that I did it, just in terms of my career, and kind of leaving that full time way of working, was really to set boundaries, right? Setting boundaries with myself, setting boundaries with my work environment, asking for what I wanted, asking for what I needed. And sometimes there were no's. There were like, nah, we can't do that for you. That's okay, because there's also other people that are open to a more flexible schedule. There's obviously like a path that I took, that I tried out, which was just consulting and just freelancing. It's obviously really hard to do. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just difficult, right? Because you are just like a business. You're responsible for what's coming in the door. What I found in terms of balance that works for me is having a part-time role where I am working under a team, under a company, and then I'm also using the rest of my time, right, whatever is left, to pour into myself and work on my own projects, and continue to learn, because that's a big part of like my core soul's purpose, is to learn. Um, so just because you are at a certain point right now does not mean that can't look different tomorrow. Just and if you are thinking about like working on something creative, or writing a blog, or taking pictures and posting them online, like, you can do those things. They can be done in tandem. Um, Also, the way that you're thinking about that work looking can be completely different. It doesn't have to be in this very like, work till I'm 25 and then go do the thing that I really love, or work 3 jobs and then go do the thing that I really love. There's so many things that you can do right now that can still pour into the thing that you love. Maybe it's just taking up one, if you want to start posting your work with photography. Maybe it's just taking pictures for yourself, right? And like, they don't go anywhere. They just like stay on your phone. And the action, which is take picture of flower, on your way to work, as an example, or on your way home, um, those compound over time. And what starts to happen is that space will start to get created because you're taking this new action, which I think is really cool to kind of think about that. And as it comes to our lives, like, the more you pour into something, the more space that will be created for that thing, especially if it's something that you love and you care for and you really want to see through. Um, so throw things at the wall, see what sticks, right? It's not bad to see what sticks, because if anything, that'll catapult you to that next idea, or that next piece of inspiration, or that next connection with another person that you never thought was there. And nothing is linear. And here's a quick picture of kind of like how it went for me, like, or how it's gone so far. Early 20s, product QA, founder stuff, mentoring. Late 20s, freelancing, consulting, mentoring, volunteering. 30 to 32, contracting, doing a lot of PM work, starting my coffee projects, basketball. And then now at 32, which is at 33, sorry, as of like 2 to 3 weeks ago, I'm 33. I guess I give away my age. Cool. I'm like, what do I want my life to look like for the next 6 months? So maybe next week I'll probably be writing a little bit more about that, is like, what do the next 6 months look like? There's also this like 10-year plan article that I read recently that was interesting, that kind of perked my perked me up a little bit to be like, okay, yeah, like 10 years from now, what does that look like for me, my family, my friends, my relationship? And I'm not scared of it, which is interesting. I think before I would have been scared to think that far ahead. Now I'm kind of like, okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's let's think ahead. And thinking ahead is healthy. Also, not thinking ahead is also healthy. It can be a little bit of both. I think a little bit of both is good. So last few things here. Things worth your time. Again, I mentioned that 10-year plan roadmap. This is I would definitely check it out if I were you. I think it's really cool. I haven't done it yet, but maybe there's something I can do with this. If anybody has ideas, I don't know. If anybody wants to do it together, I'm totally down. And someone doing it differently. If you guys don't watch David Cho on YouTube, he's just like, I don't know. He brings me so much joy. But video won't play right now because of an ad. But he's a really good example of like somebody who is, and I'm just stepping away, but somebody who's doing art in a very unconventional way. And I think unconventional because it's not the usual. It's a good unconventional, 100%. His videos inspire me to like think outside of the box, and hopefully, I don't know, hopefully they can do that for you guys too. If you guys are interested in his work, you may not be, and that's cool, but I thought sharing would be helpful. And then the last thing, which is something that sparked joy for me, is my mom. She was just like, you got to remain positive. And I said, I do. I do. So that's it. If anything, resonated, would love your comments, thoughts, feedback. If you have music that you've been listening to, if you've been reading something that has resonated with you, I'd love to know about it. And I hope you can stay lento, stay slow. And let's wrap up with a little bit more lo-fi music here.